Okay, moving on to our next theme, which is unicorn. What does unicorn mean? What it means is, it was a term coined in 2013 by venture capitalist Alan Lee, who was the founder of Cowboy VC, and she described this term as startup companies who are privately held, who get a valuation of $1 billion. In fact, the $1 billion mark was so rare at that point of time that it was seen to be finding a mythical unicorn, and that's with the top left horse is that mythical unicorn sign that's being associated with unicorn, and the bottom right is the elephant is the Indian version of that's available online. You take it a step ahead, you multiply that unicorn by 10 times, you get a decacorn, and you multiply it by 100 times by valuation, you get hectocorn, right? That's the terms used in this industry. Okay, what it means is that by now the global unicorn list has grown to 700, right? I'm repeating again, these are privately held entities, right, who have been formed after 2013 or just about around that time, 2013 or later, right, and who have a $1 billion or more of market cap being, or let's say the valuation could be ascribed by a private equity as well, right? Need not necessarily be a listed company. Therefore, in this case, it's a privately held company. 700 unicorns are there, largely from fintech, e-commerce, and artificial intelligence. There are a whole host of sectors, but these are the top 3 sectors. Globally, half of them are from US, right? Out of 700, more than 350 are from US, right? You can see in that pie chart, 20% is from China. India and UK are very close, at close to 5%, and then all the other countries are at, in that balance, 18%. This is where it gets interesting. So as we saw in the previous slide, there are about 700 unicorns, and if you look at it, most of them have been formed or have got that kind of valuation or that reset milestone in the last one calendar year, right? If you look at the pace of unicorns, it was about 10, 11, 20, right? Now it is closer to 30 per month that we've been adding in the last 7-8 months. So out of the point I was making is, out of 700, you look at the top left chart, the last 4 bars, over almost 550 plus is there in the last, have been there in the last 4 years. The milestone they reached was only in the last 4 years, right? So what again this pandemic has done is this has accelerated this pace of unicorns being available globally. And I'll come to that. I'm sure you'll have questions around this and all our themes, and I'll try and address some of them. Okay, what does the desi landscape? हमारे यहाँ इंडिया में क्या है? मतलब ये तो ठीक है, ग्लोबल हो गया. इंडिया में कितने यूनिकॉर्न्स हैं? इंडिया में 50 यूनिकॉर्न, right? 50 is what we have. In fact, we have more, maybe just 1 or 2 or 3 more. But this is a round figure, 50. Within 50, you look at it. Over 35 we got in the last 4 years, 15 we got in the last 5 months, right? Till date, Jan till date, over 50, right? That's a speed of Indians, and we have shared some of the names at the top. You would be able to see that the likes of Paytm, Cred, etc., Urban Company, InMobi, right? So that's the speed. What are the top sectors in India? It is retail and e-commerce, and it is fintech. Right, pretty much the same as the global. So out of 700, 50 are in India. Globally, 700, 50 are in India. Good achievement. I would say it's a very good achievement, right? And we will move to the double-digit share very soon. As it is, India is now trying to match up to China, right? China is 5 times GDP India, and by unicorn list they are 4 times. कर लेंगे, पहुंच जाएंगे, close कर लेंगे हम लोग. The way the speed at which unicorns are getting established in India. Okay. अब हम देखते हैं हमारे शहरों में क्या है, right? So Amchi Mumbai has about 40% share to that unicorn list, and surprise, Bangalore is where it's red hot and burning, right? Where the real fire is. 40% of all India unicorns are there in the city of Bangalore, right? That is where the techies, the brain kids, the venture capitalists, right? The environment, etc. The ecosystem, that's like the Silicon Valley of US, where the techies are there. So that is where the bulk of unicorns are there, which is as much as 40%. Gurgaon here means another 14%. Mumbai, Noida, that's another the balance, out of the balance 40%. And then there are some of those cities like Chennai, Pune, Hyderabad, they're contributing to the balance, the last 20%. SoftBank, Alibaba, Tiger Global, Sequoia, Tencent, Temasek, you name it, the biggies of the world are there to fund the Indian startups and make it unicorn. So there is hardly any name left out from the biggies who would not be willing to come to India. मूविंग टू नेक्स्ट, गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट बहुत जरूरी है. गवर्नमेंट के प्रोत्साहन, उनके without their involvement and their motivation through fiscal and other mediums, it's not possible. So they have been focusing on the startup route. They've been giving incentives related to tax, patent filing, funding. Giving allocating funds for startups as much as 10,000 crore under the AF scheme, having the capital gains exemption route, all of that and much more is being available directly under some or the other medium, be it directly under the budget or under SIDBI or under the Startup India scheme. This is very important. Okay, so this is where I would like to conclude this theme, which is that these are the companies which are now going the IPO route. These are some of the big names that we would have dealt with, right, in the last couple of years, right? So Zomato, most of us would be ordering food through Zomato at least once in 10 days, once in 15 days. They are going public with a 8,000 crore, that's roughly a $1.1 billion IPO size. Policybazaar 4,000, Byju's $1 billion. Flipkart is instantly hitting the US exchanges. These are all desi unicorns who are now going to the IPO route, right? Till now they have been funded by the private equities, right? And obviously we will now get the opportunity to participate in the journey from here onwards, right? Okay, our next theme is around electric vehicles. Electric vehicles, surprise again, it is something not new to the world, right? We used to have electric vehicle as far as back, early before 1900, right? 1873. Then we moved to a more sophisticated machines, in the late 1980s, 1990s, right? And today, in the last 10 years, the likes of Tesla and many other global giants in US and China, they have taken the share of electric vehicles to a different level, and we'll see how. Again, just as a concept, electric vehicle runs on electric power, either partly or fully. It's the other. Today, what do we have? We have the internal combustion engines. जो हमारी पेट्रोल डीजल गाड़ियां हम चलाते हैं, उनको ICE बोलते हैं, ICE बोलते हैं, which is internal combustion engines, right? And it is what traditional, right, which runs on petrol diesel. We are now moving to the EVs. What are the benefits? Obviously, non-polluting, low on maintenance, doesn't need heavy oil imports that we do, right? It's very, very quiet. You won't even feel that you are in a car and it's moving, because it doesn't have that as much sound, right? It drops considerably, and the government is giving incentives, right? And we'll see how much. The Indian landscape, the government is very, very aggressively working towards ensuring that we are at par with the global EV landscape, if not now, within 10 years, right? By 2030, we should be at par with some of the global countries in terms of EV penetration. And they are going whole hog to ensure that. Now, India's affair with EV is not new. As we discussed, we had the first vehicle called Lovebird 93. It was originated by Eddy Electric, that was a manufacturer, right? And it was launched in the Delhi Auto Expo. Reva is a more popular brand, which stands for Revolutionary Electric Vehicle Alternative. ये Bangalore में आई थी, and it was offered by Mr. Chetan Mani. So these are just taking back to the good old times when we used to have electric vehicles, but उस समय ज़्यादा इनका वो नहीं हुआ, because we had a limited infrastructure. This is very interesting. What it says is US is, EV penetration is as much as 10%, right? Out of 34 lakh cars or 3.4 million cars, 3 lakh odd plus is through the EV route, right? Europe, it is again almost 10%. China, it is slightly less than 10. India, very very less. मतलब कुछ है, मतलब hardly anything. 2.7, 27 लाख गाड़ियां के सामने we have about less than 5,000 vehicles, right? And this is again okay. So that was only the car sales, right? Now let's look at the global landscape again, right? And here we are trying to highlight what are the the entry level prices, right? You look at it in India, it is 10 lakhs or more, while in other countries like a US and Europe, you get it at 15-20 lakhs. And mind you, adjusted for dollar parity, it is very very cheap, right? A 10 lakh affordability here in India is very high, while the same 15-20 lakhs in US would be very 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 affordable, right? Problem kahan hai? Problem hai charging stations, right? We only have less than 1,000 charging stations, while in all other countries they have like over lakh, between 1 lakh and 8-9 lakhs, right? The battery, obviously, production capacity India में नहीं है. We still relying on imports, and obviously, therefore, the EV car sales are very very less. What is the government doing? They launched FAME 1 scheme, right, in which they promoted this electric vehicles. More importantly, FAME 2, which is the allocation of 10,000 crore. It's a program which is run between 1st April 2019 to 1st April 2022, for 3 years. They have given 10,000 crore, right? What have they allocated it towards? Let's look at that. So what government says that we have allocated $1.3 billion or 10,000 crore, right? And our endeavor and the government's endeavor is that over this period, over whatever the next 2, 3, 4 years, the idea is to sell the industry to sell 55,000 cars, 7,000 buses, stroke whatever trucks, 5 lakhs 3-wheelers, and 10 lakhs of 2-wheelers, right? In सबके सामने we get incentive, right? So let's say in a car, the incentive currently is 1 lakh, right? Out of 10 lakhs की जो गाड़ी है, जो भी गाड़ी बनाता है, 1 lakh directly government of India से आता है, right? So we end up, I mean, that's the incentive that the producer gets. What is the other incentive? That against a GST rate of 18%, the GST rate on an EV is 5%, right? So that is largely, and the third is obviously that there is a subsidization on the battery cost, right? The battery cost has come down substantially over the years. You look at it from $1,000 to as much as $140, but the moment it comes down below, let's say $90, that is where it will become very very competitive, and it will become at par with the overall cost of the vehicle will become at par with the ICE vehicle, which is internal combustion engine vehicle, right? Today, as much as आप 1 लाख की अगर आप बजाज की या हीरो की अगर आप इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल लेते हैं, मान लीजिए उसकी कीमत 1 लाख है, 40,000 इट्स जस्ट द बैटरी कॉस्ट. Too much, right? If assume it drops down to 20,000, the balance 20,000 is obviously which gets passed on to the consumer, and that vehicle becomes cheaper. 1 लाख की गाड़ी 80,000 मिल जाएगी. बहुत मायने रखता है, right? To someone who really wants to buy an electric vehicle but may not have that budget for a 1 lakh. right? And that's only one way. There could be more ways how this could be, that the overall price could be lowered down, right? Again, between FAME 1 and FAME 2, the number of charging stations across India have gone up either 2 times or 5 times or 10 times, right? Overall stations have gone up from 300 odd stations, infrastructure stations, to almost 3,000 stations by now. This is again as on a certain date. By now it would be more, and a couple of years later, the number of infrastructure charging stations would go up, right? What's important to highlight here is, and I'll touch base in this slide, is that two-wheelers and three-wheelers would be the fastest growing space, right? In terms of penetration, right? Two-wheelers में 8 से 10% का penetration हो जाना चाहिए by FY25, right? 4 years, 5 years from now. Three-wheelers में as much as 30%, right? Electric buses में 8 से 10%. While the LCVs, light commercial vehicles or passenger vehicles में वो it might be less than 5%, right? This is a base scenario. Optimistic scenario में obviously it will be a higher number. And currently, as you can see, it's 1% or less across categories, right? Now, the important point I'm trying to highlight here is, if the distance to be commuted is small, which is the case with a two-wheeler, which is the case with a three-wheeler, which is the case with electric buses. And buses, I mean the not intercity, but within the city transportation, right? All they would end up doing एक पूरा round काट के आना है, so that may not be more than 100 kilometers, right? 100 किलोमीटर चार्जिंग करनी है, टू व्हीलर्स में आपको 50, 60, 70 किलोमीटर की चार्जिंग करनी है, राइट? तो अगर distance to be traveled is less than 100 kilometers, if the charging station is available within the city or in that vicinity, right, वो penetration जल्दी होगा, right? But if it's traveling between cities, right, if it involves highway पे infrastructure नहीं है, charging stations नहीं है, वो सब करने में टाइम जाएगा, इसलिए वो LCVs और passenger vehicles में penetration कम है. Again, just an important point to highlight here is that as per the government, the stated policy scenario of India, right? That's the red bar. The penetration of two-wheeler is 18% in US, a proposed penetration, right? By 2030, while the same in India is about 48%, right? And again, the proposed, let's say another example of trucks, right? Or let's say a buses is 21% in US, in India it's 12%, right? This is as per the government of India policy people stroke their internal committee recommendations, right? However, right, what does the green bar say? It is the rate of adoption that the countries need to follow. This is as per the International Energy Association, which means they want to be carbon neutral, they want to be zero carbon, etc., by 2030. इसलिए उन्होंने ये रिकमेंडेशन दी है. उनकी रिकमेंडेशन क्या कहती है कि यूएस में टू व्हीलर्स थ्री व्हीलर्स को 71% पेनिट्रेशन हो जाना चाहिए, इंडिया में 58% हो जाना चाहिए by 2030, right? The larger point we are trying to make here is that because of the pressure from bodies like International Energy Association, right, because of the government's proactiveness in trying to be at par with that, as well as, or trying to come close to that, as well as trying to match up with the global economies, we have already laid down our desired penetration levels, and therefore we are working towards it. All right. Moving on to the next one, which is or the last one, which is renewable energy. There are 4 types of renewable energy: solar, wind, hydro, and bio, right? Currently, if I exclude the large hydro projects, this is a statistics, which means 93 gigawatts of installed capacity is there of renewable energy, RE, renewable energy, right? The share to total capacity of this is about 25%, right? Which is second column. The generation, by generation, if I look at it, let's look at FY20, because that's a more steady year, or where that's about 138 billion units, 0.32, and total generation was 1391. So overall, mota 10 से 11% का contribution है of renewable energy in the overall energy generation. That's the point. What are we trying to say here? It has already doubled in the last 6 years, right? From FY15 to FY21, 5.5 ka exactly double ho gaya, 11%, right? What is the future? It's gonna double again. It might take 5 years, it might take 6 years, it might take 7 years. It's gonna double again over a period of time. Maybe after 10 years, maybe after 15 years, it's gonna be 50-50 between the thermal and the non-thermal. Non-thermal obviously here is renewable. Renewable, as we saw, are the 4 buckets. Let's look at one by one. Solar, currently we are number 4 in the world, right? 36 gigawatt of installed capacity. Our idea is to be at 100 gigawatts or more. Right, the big states here are Karnataka, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Telangana. What do you need in the solar power? You need huge amount of land. Huge means, I mean, fair amount of open land. You need that sun, direct sunlight to be there for at least 6 to 8 hours during the day, right? Of that direct sunshine that you get, right? And you can get started with that, right? And the cost of ownership, obviously, setup has gone down significantly over the years. Therefore, you look at some of those big states, and obviously you need the government support as well to promote this. Second is wind power. Wind power is nothing new. We have the likes of Suzlon and many other companies trying to promote wind power for 2 decades now. We are number 4 in the world, 39 gigawatt capacity, and estimated has been always very, very high, 300 gigawatt plus. Again, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, again, where the wind is very, very heavy, you need open land. हवा बहुत अच्छी होनी चाहिए, open होनी चाहिए, तो आपको with the help of a turbine, you are able to produce electricity. Third is hydro. Again, very old concept. Very old means about, at least I've been looking at it for at least 3 decades now. We are number 5, 45 gigawatt capacity, and potential again has been very, very high. Only in this particular segment of renewable, land issues, right? Farmer issues, litigation issues, state government, right? उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा issue आ जाते हैं, because this is largely on the mountain terrain, because obviously your water is dropping from a height, and therefore you're trying to make electricity out of it by using that speed. So therefore, यहाँ पे बहुत स्लो डाउन हो गया, एज यू नो, जहाँ पे भी गवर्नमेंट इन्वॉल्व हो जाए, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इन्वॉल्व हो जाए, लोकल बॉडीज इन्वॉल्व हो जाए, फार्मर्स इन्वॉल्व हैं, लोकल पंचायत इन्वॉल्व है, इसमें काफी इशू आ जाता है. Therefore, the speed of setting up a hydropower has been slow. Nevertheless, again, Karnataka, Himachal Pradesh, right? These are some of Uttarakhand. These are some of the larger states who have been able to demonstrate. Last is biopower. Biopower again. Through biofuel, we are able to produce 10 gigawatts is what we have. Estimated is 100 gigawatt, and as you would know that so this is the space which is red hot happening, and is gonna evolve over the next couple of years, right? Yeah, so that's the last one in that renewable energy. Government support is available, as we discussed. Without that, it's not gonna happen at a speed. Under Atmanirbhar Bharat, we have been having solar cities, solar parks, and various funds have been allocated, and FDI is obviously welcome here through the automatic route. So it is the environment friendly new India that we are talking about here.